This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm joined by Chintan Desai. He is the Democratic nominee for the 1st Congressional District. Congratulations.
Thank you. Probably the easiest election I'll ever win.
I don't know. Did you run for student body president or something?
No,
like
and
that?
I lost.
There we go. All right. You have been on a tour of your district there for the last 30 days.
Yeah.
I kind of call it the 30 for 30 tour there. You've got a hashtag for it that is?
Hashtag 30 in 30.
30 in 30, all right. Tell me what you heard on the campaign trail in all of those different counties, and what did you learn?
Yeah, a couple of things. So folks are excited to meet someone that's running to represent them. These are places we're talking about, Prairie County, down in Hazen, Dumas, places that just don't have a politician or a candidate actually come visit them. And these are voices that often get unheard. And I think you couple that with the fact that, honestly, we've got a congressman who's been a no-show congressman. He is inaccessible. He refuses to hold town halls. He has constituent offices that literally have cobwebs in the doors. People have been excited to actually see someone who's fighting to represent them.
One of the things that has been front and center, and I'm sure you heard a lot of it if you were talking to farmers over the last 30 days, is what's been going on with the tariffs and the trade wars that are going on. We saw on Friday another $60 billion in retaliatory tariffs promised from China as a result of some of the American tariffs that we're placing on that country. Are Arkansas farmers, are you talking to some that are willing to go to the mat for this trade?
Yeah, and we need to push to organize folks, but for the most part, the farmers that we're talking to, the row crop farmers, are incredibly disappointed with our congressman and with our administration in terms of what they're doing. They're essentially collateral damage of this trade war, the practices by this president to try to, he's going after China, but the way he's doing it is not in the way that we need to. We need to be working with our allies, working with other countries to take on China, and right now, that's not what they're doing. They're picking a fight, an unnecessary fight.
Did you meet anybody on the trail, though, farmers that are supportive of this, even though it's a long slog, it's a hard battle?
No one's supportive. There are folks that are willing to be a little bit patient. Our point is, though, that we have soybean prices that are at a decade low. There are farmers, if you farm 2,500 acres, just this year alone, you're losing about $100,000 in profit. We've got the Arkansas Farm Bureau president worried about farmers being able to make a profit this year. There's definitely a feeling that people are taking a loss here. Some are willing to be more patient than others, but pretty soon here, people are going to start getting pretty angry.
Representative Crawford's submitted an op-ed to us that we ran. You're always welcome to submit something as well, too. But he basically said, and his argument was, Arkansas soybeans are going to find their way to China eventually, maybe through a third party, but they will eventually be there. Be patient, don't panic, and this will eventually work itself out. Is he wrong?
He is wrong. And look, China's going to find other sources for soybean crops. We'll see what happens. Our feeling is that this is not something that's going to end well. And, there's just a lot of uncertainty that happens when you enter into a trade war. We had, for example, the Bush administration placed steel tariffs in the early 2000s. It did lead to some positive benefit for that industry for a little bit, but that was a boost that couldn't sustain itself. And what happens here is you have a lot of uncertainty, and that's not what we need. What we need is free and fair trade. We need better trade deals. We need to stop this race to the bottom. That's what we think is actually going to promote free and fair trade, and not these practices that hurt farmers.
A week ago, you put on a town hall in Helena, where you're from. Talk about the election that's coming up and a lot of things related to election law. We have seen on the national level and international level the Russian interference here in Arkansas. We have voter ID is going to be on the ballot this November. What do you advocate in terms of what needs to happen in terms of strengthening voter laws?
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is follow the lead of our Secretary of State nominee. We need to make sure that voting is more accessible to people. This is our right as citizens of this country, and anything that an administration does to curtail that right is not something that we need, whether it's voter ID laws, whether it's any kind of practice that, purging voter rolls. What we need to do is have more voting locations. We need to do a vote-by-mail system, and we need to make sure that we have security in the voting system, and that takes investment.
Vote-by-mail is open to fraud as well, though, too. We've seen where there's been some post office officials that have accumulated a lot of mail in their personal habitats over some time.
Sure.
So is that really the panacea?
So look, I think any system there's an openness to potential fraud there. We just think that makes it a little bit easier for folks, right? You have your ballot in your hand and you're able to study that ballot, you're able to read up on candidates. I think it promotes voter literacy and make sure that people are voting for people that they actually know that they want to support.
What about voter ID? You hear the arguments all the time. You got to show an ID for, your driver's license to cash a check. You got to show your driver's license to for a variety of different things. Apparently, to buy groceries, according to the president in the last couple of days here. But why is voter ID going to disenfranchise someone?
Look, you have to, right? If you need to get a voter ID or an ID, you need to go to a courthouse. You need to travel that amount of time to get there. Not everyone has access to a car. There's already a way that you're identifying yourself once you go to a poll location. You're matching your signature. These are practices that have been implemented by some of these southern states after Shelby County versus Holder, and it's no coincidence that they're happening in some of these states that have traditionally had some voter disenfranchisement. They're wanting to keep people away.
All right, let's flip to another topic. Where do you stand on the issue of impeachment? If the Democrats take control of the House, as some are predicting could happen, you've got everything from the emoluments clause to Russian relationships and connections with the president to obstruction of justice potentially. Where do you stand on that issue?
I'm not willing to take a stand either way. I think what we want to do is make sure that, look, we have an administration that has been historically corrupt, an administration that is clearly every day there's a scandal, and I think the best way that we can hold them accountable is by making sure that we elect the Democratic Congress. In terms of what happens when we get there, I need to then be informed on exactly what's going on. I need to be briefed on what's happening, maybe some of the things that we don't know what's going on. Not willing to take a stand and actually trying to bring those articles of impeachment, but certainly want to make sure that he's held accountable, and that's just not happening right now.
Does that come up? And for 30 days you've been on the road. What's been the conversation and the topic and the temperature towards the president?
They're not talking about that. You know what they talk about? They talk about healthcare. They talk about education. They're talking about the road. I've been to all these 30 counties. I'm talking about roads that are crumbling and bridges that are not working and energy systems that need repaired. They're talking about wanting to have access to affordable and high-quality health care. They're worried about their children and whether they're getting a high-quality education. Those are the things that people are actually worried about. And it's interesting, people say Democrats talk a lot about Russia. We're not doing that. The Republicans like to talk about it. We're talking about the bread and butter issues that people care about and that affect their livelihoods.
All right, he's Chintan Desai. He's the 1st District Democratic nominee for Congress. Good to have you with us. Good to have you back in. All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.
That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.